Hey guys, Smash from B Cosplay here. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of this Victims and Villains live streaming event showcasing cosplay and mental health. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background information about how I got started into cosplay, and then I'll talk a little bit about mental health and how it's impacted my mental health specifically. But thank you guys for letting me be a part of this, and let me go ahead and tell you my story. So I started cosplaying, I want to say seriously, like competing in things, a little over a year ago. It was July 2022. We had always dressed up, done really big things for Halloween, got really excited about certain like movies coming out, and we dress up for movies, but we never really considered it as something we would be doing every weekend. So we started for my daughter. At the time, she was about to be 3. We had taken her to a Busch Gardens show, and of course the cast was dressed up as certain things for Halloween, and she decided that she wanted to be part of the show. So before we even started competing, she was getting into the like play acting. So our first cosplay that we did was Billie Eilish, specifically bad guy Billie Eilish. And thinking back on it, you know, I have 3 kids. I'm a mom to 3 toddlers, 2 girls and a boy. The girls were little tiny Billie Eilish's running around, and it was the cutest thing ever. But we really started to invest in it because we saw that it made our oldest daughter happy. Right before then, I had my son, and he was actually a NICU baby. So he required a lot of extra help, and it really took its toll on us as a family. At that point, I had 3 under 3. And if you are not familiar with that term, it's basically 3 kids under the age of 3 years old. So I was living with 3 toddlers. I was their primary caretaker. My husband works the 9-to-5 job so that I can stay and raise our kids. And we found that because he needed so much additional attention, it was pulling away attention from my oldest, who was really feeling left out. You know, my middle daughter, she was younger, so she wasn't quite always aware of it, but by the time my oldest turned 3, she was very aware of it. So we entered her in a local cosplay competition. Had no idea what we were doing, expected nothing out of it. Nothing came out of it, but pure joy and happiness. And we met photographers through the convention that we still work with today, who honestly are some of the best photographers to photograph kids, in my opinion. But we changed our whole family dynamic from cosplay. So at first it was just me and the 4-year-old cosplaying. And then slowly it became every weekend, every other weekend, we were going to different conventions around Virginia as a family, and we were competing as a family. And at first it was just like something that brought us all joy, brought us close together, helped us all reconnect. And then I started to realize, like, wow, it's a lot of work. And being a mom to 3 is already a ton of work. And then when you put in the aspect of competing on top of that, and going and showcasing your cosplays, it gets very, very, very overwhelming very very quickly. I didn't really know how to handle being a mom to 3 tiny kids. And while it was my choice to be a mom to 3 tiny kids at once, you're not really given the tools for that. So my mental health took a hit. It took a hard hit. To the point where, like, there were days where I didn't want to be a mom. I didn't want to get out of bed. And it's not something that's, like, regularly talked about, I don't think. And this is just my mental health as, like, a mom, and how, like, cosplay opened those doors to finding this whole other level of happiness. But for me, like, I didn't want to spend time with my family. I didn't want to do anything. So when we started competing, if you win a place, it has to be homemade. You can have some stuff. It just kind of, and it doesn't really matter what type of a cosplayer you are. I just had a very, very, very pushy 4-year-old who likes to win. She very much likes to win. She definitely pushes all of us to be our best selves. So I started to realize that, okay, I'm gonna have to start making all these cosplays. How am I gonna do that? And I realized it gave me a deadline. It stopped me from procrastinating, and it gave a reason for me to feel like a good mom again, honestly. So crafting of cosplays, that became kind of my serotonin. And then when we would go out and people would ask to take pictures with us, or ask me how I created certain things that the toddlers were wearing, I felt so much joy and accomplishment. But even more than that, the kids were enjoying every aspect of it. So I felt like, wow, okay, maybe I'm not such a bad mom after all. And then the more that we started competing, the more we started getting recognized by bigger cosplayers and guests. And we've been so fortunate enough to get into now, finally, I know it's only been a year, but we now have really good cosplay community friends that we can rely on, that we can always go to for advice cosplay wise, and also other cosplayers that are watching our kids grow up and watching them enjoy cosplay. So it's a really, really unique experience to kind of come into cosplay from a different angle. You know, I have no prior modeling. I have like 0 photography abilities. I'm only now just starting to get comfortable like in front of a camera. But it's just like a whole nother level and a whole nother world out there. And I feel so fortunate to even get to talk to you all today about just how positive cosplay has been for us and for my mental health, and the fact that the community that is around cosplay, even though a lot of times it's not painted in the best light, for some of us, it is a mental health safe place. I know for me, I don't really know what our life would look like without cosplay at this point. It's definitely different, but it changes for the better. And that's why I think groups like Victims and Villains that come out and showcase the positivity of cosplay and the community, and to show that there are people in the community that care about your mental health and care about how you're doing. I think, you know, as cosplayers in this community, we all need to be there for each other, because you never know what anyone's going through. And I know that's said a lot, but being someone who's just a mom with what feels like absolutely no talent to be recognized by so many other people. And to see my children have joy just from other cosplayers in the community wanting to work with them and be around them and have them at their photo shoots and watch them grow up and compliment their cosplays. It is such a positive feeling. And what's most important to me is they're young. Like I said, I have 3 of them. They're 4, 3, and 2 at this stage in life. And being that young, the things we say can really impact their lives. So for them to have this community and for me to have the same level of community with them, it is truly a wonderful experience. But that's my story, and thank you guys so much for having me and letting me tell my story.